Today we're painting this Ratman. I've already laid down a zenithal highlight using Montana spray cans. I've tried to do this in the same way people would with an airbrush, so I'll try and keep these tones and highlight up from this as if this is the base tone. I'm trying to stick to average rat colours, so I'll go for a dry brush of brown for the fur, and I'll have a pinky fleshy colour for the rest of the body. The fur is nice and textured, so a dry brush will work here. I'm doing the dry brush first because it can be quite a messy technique and you can get paint over other parts of the miniature, so it doesn't matter if we paint over some of the other parts now. I start with a heavier dry brush and then work my way down to being finer and lighter touch with the lighter colours. I quite like the contrast and range of colours that we've ended up, but it's not the right colour. I will do a brown wash or tint later on. Already there's a big difference between this and normal priming. The surface texture that has been left is much smoother and the paint is very slippery. So I'm having to be really careful with this first layer that I'm putting down. Once it dries, painting on top of it's absolutely fine, but it is a little bit trickier than it should be. The zenithal spray that I did to begin with is helping me here with where the highlights and shades would go. Anything left in the lighter brown is going to be in the light, so that's the sort of area that we'll be highlighting. There's too big a jump between the light and the dark at the moment, I think, so I'm glazing in some darker tones. I've mixed Rhinox hide with the flesh colours that we've been using to make a smoother transition. Looking back on the mini now, I realise I should perhaps have added some cool colours instead of another brown, so perhaps a blue or purple. It'd be nice to have had some tonal contrast. But doing this shading with glazes has really helped to kind of blend and smooth everything together. Back to highlighting now. I'm mostly now using Cadian Flesh Tone and I'm going up to Vallejo's basic skin tone. We're now painting in smaller and smaller areas as we're getting brighter and brighter. Now that the flesh parts are starting to come together, I've decided to see what it would look like with the fur a bit more finished. So this is where I'm laying down some shades, some washes, some tints. Again, I'm using inks for this. I'm really enjoying the inks that I've been practicing with recently. They're pretty diluted down, and that allows me to do several layers so I can have a bit more tonal variety. This is much closer to the brown that I wanted, so I'm pretty happy with what's happened here. Looking at pictures of rats, pink is definitely something I want to involve more on this miniature. I'm glazing pink onto the hands, the feet, the nose, and later on I do the tail as well. This is really helping it look more rat-like rather than just some general beast. Time to paint some of the extra bits now so that we can get a general feel of the miniature. I painted inside the mouth, just mixing some red and purple into the flesh colours that I already had. I layered the teeth to get brighter and brighter, but they were too bright for me, so then I had to add more shade into close to where the gums or the jawline is. And this is the end result I was able to get. I really like the fur. I think there's great tonal variety in the fur. As I said before, I wish I'd have cooled some parts of the miniature down. Everything looks very warm and red. And perhaps I should have experimented more with pushing the pink further to see what that would have looked like. Overall, not a bad miniature. Another one for the shelf, and we'll move on to the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you on the next one. See ya!